I write these words beneath starlight, with the cold Vales mountains at my back, and the divines heavy upon my thoughts. The world changes around me, for I have heard the voice of Talos. Months of silence atop Sancretor, seeking the guidance of the divines, hoping Talos's presence still lingered. It was no dream or fevered vision. His voice rang clear, as real as thunder. Splitting silence like a war horn. He spoke directly to me. A fire comes, Tiberius. Not a flame of warmth or light, but one of ruin. It will sweep across Nirn. Cities will be turned to ash. Kings will be cast down. The sky will ignite with sorrow. The empire sleeps, and in sleep it rots. But you, my son, you will wake it. My heart burned with purpose. I knew what I had to do. I made for Cyrodiil city at once, the towers of white gold rising before me like the spires of destiny. I sought to warn the emperor himself, Uriel Septim VII. Surely he, of all men, would understand the voice of the god who bore his very bloodline. But I was not permitted a single step inside the palace. The guards laughed when I spoke Talos's name with reverence, that he had spoken to me directly. They mocked my armor, tarnished by the pilgrimage, and called me mad. One barked that I should be locked up, for everyone's safety. Talos was right. The heart of the Empire is blind, its spine brittle, its blood poisoned with doubt and cowardice. That night, as I lay forsaken beneath the stars, Talos came to me once more and spoke. Let the cowards rot in their marble cages. The east calls. Darkness festers. Necromancers, Daedra, and foul creatures taint the land. You will go. You will cleanse my land of this filth. This fire I give you is divine. I turn my back on the white gold tower, not in shame, but in purpose. I march east, beyond the rumbling Niben, to Morrowind, where the Empire's grasp falters. I will secure what they've abandoned. I will purge what festers in the dark corners of Morrowind. Talos says, be strong for war. Be bold against enemies and evil, and defend the people of Tamriel. And I will do just that. Tiberius Imbrex, champion of Talos, Kinnereth preserve me. For all the tales I heard of Morrowind's volcanic ash and choking skies, the Velothi mountains are cold. Colder than I ever expected. There is no ash here, only wind, stone, and silence. The cold wraps around me like a shroud. It numbs my fingers, bites my skin, and burrows into my bones. I thought I would be fighting fire with fire. Instead, I find myself battling ice. I have little food left, even less water. My strength wanes with each step, but the fire inside me will not yield. Talos placed that fire within me, and it will burn even if my body fails. He has not sent me into the wilds to die in the snow. I have not seen a soul in 2 days. No caravans, no hunters, no pilgrims. Only the wind, howling through the narrow passes like a morning chorus. I speak aloud when I walk now, to break the silence. I recite the words of Talos. I remind the stones that I'm not lost, and that I walk with purpose. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. Talos strengthens my arm, and the fire within me burns hotter with every breath I take. This land tests me, but it doesn't slow me. Even the cold cannot pierce the heat that the divine has placed in my soul. My purpose here is clear, and already I have begun to fulfill it. Days ago I came upon a stone crypt hidden in the crags west of Uman. Its entrance was worn with age, sealed with markings that stirred nothing but unease in my spirit. I knew at once what it was. The air was thick with stillness, the silence unnatural. I entered without hesitation. Inside, I found signs of ritual and decay. Old urns filled with ash and bone, strange glyphs on the walls, a sense of restless presence, as if the dead themselves resented my intrusion. I did not falter. I shattered their vessels, burned their offerings, and spoke the name of Talos aloud, until the place echoed with his authority. I lit the final fire and left without looking back. Some in Uman later claimed it was a Dunmer ancestral tomb, a holy place. I do not accept that. The Dunmer revere false gods. Their ancestors whisper through corrupted traditions. Whatever sanctity the place once held has long since rotted. I did what must be done. I arrived in Uman with the snow still clinging to my boots. The village sits quiet between the peaks, its people hardened by wind and stone. They were surprisingly more welcoming than I thought they'd be. The guard captain saw the blade I carried and the conviction in my voice. She offered me 3 bounties. The first is already done. A dark elf pilgrim, wanted for murder and heresy against the tribunal temple. I found her not far from the village, camped inside a cave near the peaks of the Veloti Mountains. She greeted me but didn't draw steel. I bound her hands and walked her back to Uman myself. The guardsmen took her with little ceremony. The captain asked how I had found her so quickly. I told her the truth. I do not search blindly. I am guided. There are 3 more names, all marked by law and all condemned by the highest order. One dwells to the north, a notorious smuggler. The other 2 live out east, Daedra worshippers of the foulest degree. This land is broken. It groans beneath the weight of false gods and broken oaths. But I am here now. I bring fire, not as punishment, but as purifying light. Talos commands. I obey. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine, bandits, smugglers, kobolds, Daedric worshippers. These are the things the mighty Talos warned me about. These are the enemies that creep and breed in the cracks of this wounded land. I see them everywhere. I see their signs in the ruins, in the blood on the roads, in the whispers passed between frightened villagers. Morrowind is sick. It groans beneath the weight of its own heresies. The tribunal, with all their hollow glory and false divinity, has left this land in darkness. There is no order here, only survival. No sanctity, only superstition. It is no wonder filth and corruption have taken root. But I have not come to despair. I have come to fight. Every den I cleanse, every criminal I cast down, every shrine I raise to the Nine is a spark, a light. A reminder that the Empire has not forgotten this place, that the true gods have not turned their faces away. Talos watches. The 8 watch with him. If I can convince even one soul in this cursed land to lift their eyes to the sky and speak the name of the Nine, then my mission will not be in vain. If one heart is turned from the dead gods to the living ones, then I will count my time here a victory. The tribunal cares little for the people. That much is plain. If they did, their faithful would not starve in the hills or die at the hands of roadside scum. They build temples, but not peace. They give law, but not order. They promise salvation, but offer none. Talos commands. I obey. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. Uman has fulfilled its purpose in Talos's great mission. I have resupplied, earned the favor of a few of the Dunmer natives, and perhaps even gained the trust of the local captain of the guard. I have pruned evil from the land as best as one man can. Perhaps one day I shall return and finish cleansing the region of villainy. Until then, Talos has guided my steps to Bodrum, a small mining town nestled in the shadow of the Velothi Peaks. Its people are weary, their backs bent from years of toil. Only a few days have passed since my arrival, but already Stendar, ever merciful, has delivered to me an opportunity to perform good works in his name. An elder Mer had sunk into a debt so deep that no honest labor could free him. Even his own sons, willing to bear the burden beside him, were turned away. Pride held him fast, and he would rather wither beneath its weight than grasp the hands extended to save him. I could not stand by. I paid his debts in full. I asked for nothing in return, but that he remembered the mercy shown to him by the divines. When I spoke the name of Stendar, his eyes softened, and I saw the first spark of true gratitude take root. Such acts may seem small to the unseeing, but they are not. Charity is a weapon against despair, as surely as a blade is a weapon against evil. Every soul lifted from the mire is a victory for the Nine. Every hand guided away from darkness is another stone set upon the foundation of righteousness. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. This week has tested me as few others have. The Armun Ashlands are a scar upon this world, a place where darkness seeps into the very earth. Evil festers here in ways that words can scarcely capture. I have witnessed horrors that make the blood run cold. A coven of 3 sister witches who prowl the wastes, abducting good Imperial citizens and twisting their minds with foul magics until they become little more than thralls. A so-called master enchanter who seeks to cheat the blessings of Arche himself by severing the sacred thread that binds life to death. The land is blackened, and its air tastes of corruption. Yet even in this pit of despair, the Nine have shown me a glimmer of their eternal light. I met another champion of the gods, a true knight of Mara, named Amandin Platier. A man of noble bearing and unshakable faith, he was as a brother-in-arms from the moment our paths crossed. Together, we answered the plea of a Dunmer mother searching for her son, only to find him slain by a wicked vampire. We ventured into a shadowed ancestral tomb, where that foul creature had made its lair. The battle was fierce, but righteous steel cuts deeper than unholy flesh. We struck the beast down without hesitation. A swift death was the only just course. This victory, though small in the grand scheme, reminds me that righteousness can prevail even in the vilest of places. It is proof that the gods have not abandoned Morrowind entirely. Where one champion stands, another may rise, and in their unity, darkness trembles. I will not forget what I have seen here. The witches, the heretics, the defilers of sacred law. One day, I will return to these Ashlands, and when I do, those who are suffering will be made free. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. This week, Talos and the Eight have yet again tested my resolve and sharpened my purpose. I came upon a man stricken with fatigue, worn thin by toil and illness. By the grace of the Nine, I was able to lift the weight from his body and restore his strength. His gratitude was quiet but genuine. Even one soul renewed as proof that the divines work through me. Soon after, I struck down a nest of corruption festering in the outskirts of Arvud. Not knowing their names, I'll call them the Skooma Sisters, a band of wicked women who peddled that foul poison to the weak and desperate. I hunted them through ash and rock until their cries were silenced and their trade ended. I did not revel in their deaths, but their evil will no longer spread across this land. And of course, the most blessed task of all, rescuing a fellow knight of the Nine from an undignified fate. The very same night, Armun Ashlands, who only a few days past helped cleanse a tomb from the vampire menace. On his attempted return to town, he was lost in an ash storm and captured by Ashlander slavers. When the slavers would not free him willingly, there was only one course of action. The strength that returned to his heart from his rescue was a gift from the divines themselves, a sign that they have not forsaken those who serve them faithfully. With every act of mercy and every stroke of my blade, I feel the fire within me grow hotter. The Nine do not rest, and neither shall I. Talos commands. I obey. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. The blessings of the Nine do not falter. Each day I walk this foreign land, I am reminded that Talos's guiding hand never strays from my shoulder. While clearing out a wretched den of beasts that had been terrorizing travelers along the mountain road, the divines steered my path to something far more sinister. Beneath the earth, hidden from the sight of the common folk, lay an ancient tomb reeking of undeath. Within its rotting halls lingered a creature most vile, a vampiric ghost, a twisted soul that had abandoned Arce's sacred balance, clinging to this world through profane sorcery. I spoke the name of the Nine as my blade cut through the foul apparition. With a final prayer to Arce, I banished the unholy presence from this world, purifying the tomb in their honor. When the last echo of the spirit's shriek faded, the Nine saw fit to bless my victory. Upon a table of dust and age, I found a set of ebony arms and a shield of remarkable craftsmanship. They bore no magical glow nor heavenly music, yet I know this was no mere coincidence. The Nine placed these tools in my path as a sign that my mission is just, and my path righteous. With these sanctified tools, my resolve is only strengthened. No shadow will escape my light. No wicked soul will escape divine judgment. The fires of Talos burn brighter than ever, and with every step, the darkness recoils. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. I beseech you, Talos Storm Crown, King of earth and sky, Dragon of the North, the Dragon Prince, the Most High, and Lord of shining hosts. If I have stepped out of line, let me see it with clear eyes. Today, the path you set before me twisted in ways I didn't expect. I found myself deep in the hills, pursuing whispers of stolen property and a fugitive Argonian. The tracks led to a bandit camp nestled between jagged cliffs, the kind of place where evil festers and thrives. I did not hesitate. Steel met flesh, and they fell one by one, unrepentant and unworthy. I do not mourn them. Their deaths were swift and deserved. But when I found the Argonian, I did not see a criminal. I saw confusion, desperation. He did not resist. He barely spoke. And yet I returned him to the manor as instructed. Still, my spirit stirs uneasily. Did I act with righteousness or with haste? Was justice served, or merely the will of those with coin and title? Talos, I am your sword. But even a sword must be sharpened by clarity and truth. If I have erred, if I have acted in blindness, then show me a sign. Strip the veil from my eyes, so I may never fail your will again. The world grows darker by the day, and I cannot afford to stumble. Let your voice once more find me in silence. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of Talos. Nothing burns away doubt quite like the cleansing of evil. Today, the land itself seems lighter beneath my boots, for I have struck down wickedness in its lair. The Nine saw fit to test my resolve with a mission of both mercy and judgment. I was sent to find a missing father, his fate uncertain, his kin clinging to hope. My search brought me into the depths of shadow, and there I found him, not as the man he once was, but as a creature of the night, cursed with the thirst for blood. He did not threaten me. Instead, he spoke with the voice of a soul already in mourning for itself. His eyes were hollow, his will broken. He wished only for release, and I granted it. A single stroke, clean and final, ended his suffering. I prayed over his remains, commending him to the mercy of Arkay, that his spirit might be freed from the prison of undeath. The same day, I took up the cause of the now extinct Morrowind Ashlanders, long plagued by the predations of the Balueth vampires. I found these vile abominations in their lair, beneath the Morrowind camp. I struck them down without hesitation, and left their den in silence. With their numbers broken, I trust the survivors will scatter deep into the Ashlands, far from the homes of the innocent. For now, my work in Arvud is complete. The land is no cleaner than when I first arrived, yet I know I have removed some of its deepest rot. Now I turn my gaze northward, for I have grown weary of the endless ash that stings my eyes and clings to my armor. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of Talos. To leave the Armun Ashlands behind is to step out of a furnace of hostility. My lungs no longer taste the grit of volcanic dust. My armor no longer wears the gray stain of that cursed soil. My body feels lighter for it, yet my spirit bears a weight I cannot ignore. It has been far too long since I knelt before an altar of the Nine, since I spoke the oaths that bind my soul to their service. The land I have walked is starved of their presence. There are shrines to false gods on every road and in every hall, but none to the true divine. I will make for Bal Foyen. There, I shall seek employment among the factions that hold sway in the region, for even in service to mortal causes, the Nine may work their will through me. My sword will find evil, my hands will heal the willing, and my voice will proclaim the truth to any who will hear it. Most of all, I will stand before their altar once more. I will renew my vows to Talos Stormcrown and to the 8 who stand beside him. My path is his to guide, my strength his to command. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of Talos, this past week has marked a turning point in my service to the divine. I have sworn 2 new oaths, each binding me closer to the path that Talos has set before me. The first is to the Fighters Guild, an honorable brotherhood whose work mirrors much of my own calling, hunting outlaws, striking down beasts that prey upon the weak, and lending our arms in service to the citizens of the Empire. The gold they offer for such work is not an end in itself, but a means by which I may continue my mission, supplying my journeys and aiding the needy without falter. The second oath carries a weight I once feared to bear. I have at last joined the Imperial cult. For years I delayed, convincing myself I was unworthy of such a charge, that I had not yet proven myself before the Nine. But Talos has strengthened my spirit, and I now walk with the certainty that this responsibility is not a burden, but a calling. With the blessing of the Most High and the support of 2 steadfast and lawful orders, I feel the foundation of something greater taking shape. Perhaps now I can sow seeds that will outlast my own days and bring lasting order to a land that has suffered far too long beneath the yoke of heresy and lawlessness. Talos commands. I obey. Talos has not forsaken me once since I crossed the Velothi Mountains. His hand has been steady upon my shoulder, guiding me to every soul and every place in need of the divine light. When an Imperial citizen calls for aid, I am there. When I come upon dark caverns where foul creatures and wicked rites had taken root, I am given the strength to cleanse them in his name. Each step I have taken has carried purpose. Each deed has been woven into the holy design laid before me. Now he has brought me to Old Ebonheart, where the Empire's presence stands proud against the tide of Dunmer pride and Daedric heresy. Here, I feel his voice more strongly than I have since leaving Sancor Tor. The walls are steeped in Imperial stone. The banners of the dragon still fly, and I know Talos walks among the battlements. I will continue to walk this path, unwavering, knowing the Nine watch over me. Their gaze is stern but righteous, and it steels my soul for the trials yet to come. The fire burns ever hotter, and until the darkness is purged, I will not rest. Talos commands. I obey. I feel the hand of Talos upon my shoulder with every step I take in this city. Old Ebonheart is a fortress of stone and faith, a bastion where the Empire still stands tall amidst the corruption of this land. Just walking its streets fills me with renewed purpose. I know now why Talos has brought me here. Each day I kneel in his temple, the banners of his empire billowing like a holy flame above me. I have spoken with priests who carry the same conviction in their hearts, and together we have raised our voices in hymn until the very stones seem to tremble. When I leave the temple, the people listen. They nod. Some smile. They may not yet kneel, but the seed of truth has been planted. In time, it will grow. As a sworn sword of the Fighters Guild, I have already begun to serve. The Guild's charge is noble and simple: to protect, to defend, and to strike down those who threaten the Empire's citizens. In this, my calling and their mission are as one. Evil will find no refuge here while I draw breath. For now, I remain vigilant. I will watch over them as a shepherd watches his flock. Should the wolves come, they will meet my blade, sanctified by the Nine. The Guild's work has taken me down a path I did not expect, yet I know it is Talos who has guided my feet to this place. The woman I was first sent to help was not plagued by bandits, nor curses that could be broken with a sharp blade, but by visions and madness that no blessing of the Nine could cure. I laid my hands upon her brow, spoke prayers to Stendarr and Julianos alike, yet her mind remained clouded. In the end, I entrusted her fate to the local tribunal clergy. Though I loathe their false gods, perhaps even they can see through to the truth of her sickness and ease her suffering. Sharnoga continued to feed me work, this time uncovering a long, unfulfilled contract. And so, the task fell upon me to see it completed. The charge was clear: to retrieve the remains of a warrior named Constantius, a noble man of arms who supposedly disappeared without a trace. My search led me out of Old Ebonheart and deep into the wild. The trail grew colder with each step, yet Talos kept me steady. In time, my path wound through jagged rock and silent glades until I stood before a structure of towering malice, an ancient ruin dedicated to the foul lords of oblivion. The Daedra's mark is plain upon its stones, its very air heavy with corruption. The ruin looms before me, and within possibly lies the answer to Constantius's fate. Perhaps his bones, perhaps worse. Whatever awaits, I will not falter. The Lord of Shining Hosts is with me. His voice whispers steel into my soul. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. The Daedric ruin of Teknilashashulpi was thick with the stink of outlaw and heretic, and though I cleansed it, no noble bones were found there. Instead, I discovered a note penned by Constantius, written in what were likely his final days. His words spoke of his companion's jealousy, and that they would be heading east towards a Dwemer ruin near Necrom. So it was that my path turned from Daedra to the long-dead machines of a forgotten age. The Dwemer ruin loomed vast and oppressive, its walls groaning with the echoes of their vanished pride. Within, I was met not by men, but by their lifeless guardians, brass and steel given hateful life. Each construct that lurched toward me was a test of endurance, but the Nine steeled my will and strengthened my arm. My blade rang against metal until the chambers grew silent again. At the deepest point, where steam and shadow mingled, I found what remained of Constantius and his companion. No shrine, no cairn, only the cold stone of the Dwemer halls to cradle him. His spirit had wandered long enough. With reverence, I gathered his bones, vowing to see him laid to rest as a true warrior of Tamriel, not forgotten among the husks of lifeless machines. In that moment, I felt a deep certainty. Talos had set me upon this task, not for glory, but to remind me that even the greatest champions may fall unremembered if the faithful do not act. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. The work of the righteous never ceases, and in Old Ebonheart, it feels as though Talos himself sets each task before me. The people here are true Imperial stock, burdened not with heresy or false gods, but with the struggles of honest life. To aid them is no small honor. Each day brings its own trials. These may seem small deeds to some, but I know that every life turned toward the light is another stone laid upon the foundation of the Empire. It is not always the grand battles against Daedra or vampires that bring us closer to the Nine. Sometimes it is the quiet acts, the unseen works, that win the favor of the divine. I feel joy in these labors, for they remind me that my sword is not meant only to strike down, but to shield, to guide, and to restore. Every lawbreaker removed, every soul uplifted, every wrong corrected, is proof that the Nine are present in this land, though so many here still fail to see it. Praise be to the Nine, for they have granted me both the strength to fight and the patience to serve. As long as I walk this path, I will not falter. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. The iron mine of Tholer Ondas is not overrun with beasts nor brigands, but it suffers all the same. The miners have cast down their tools and struck against their overseers. Their complaints are few, but hold merit. I understand their plight. A mine cannot run on grievance and bitterness, and neither can it flourish under heavy hands that press too hard. House Hlaalu walks a dangerous path. They chase profit as a hawk chases prey, swift and unrelenting. In this pursuit, they risk forgetting that the laborer's sweat is the true iron from which wealth is drawn. Without balance, the whole foundation will crumble. I am no mediator of labor disputes, yet my word was given to Tholer Ondas, and so I will see the matter through. Whether by firm hand or by patient counsel, I will help bring this quarrel to a just conclusion. Order must be restored, and honest work resumed. Talos does not suffer strife to grow unchecked. If he has placed me here, it is to cut through the tangle and remind both worker and master of their duties. The mine will ring with the sound of hammers once more, and peace will return. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. The iron mine lies silent now. Once it rang with the sound of pick and hammer, but deceit and ambition brought it to ruin. The workers have scattered, their livelihoods taken from them not by beasts or plague, but by the schemes of one corrupt Mur who thought only of himself. The people will endure, for the Empire watches over them, and the Nine guide all faithful souls through hardship. This is what greed brings. This is why Talos has set my feet on this path. To remind me that I must remain steadfast, even when outcomes seem bitter. Justice was done, though it carries sorrow in its wake. I will leave Bal Foyen once again. The Nine have more work for me, of that I am certain. Where men falter, I must press onward, bearing the light of the true gods into the cracks where shadows take root. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. My time in Bal Foyen and Old Ebonheart has been fruitful, but I feel the stirrings of Talos guiding me onward. The road now lies eastward, toward the lands ruled by House Indoril with their hollow piety, and the Telvanni wizards, whose pride and hunger for dominion know no bounds. Both twist power to their own ends, blind to the true grace of the Nine. It is among such folk that the light must shine brightest. I take comfort in knowing that Imperial towns and Fighters Guild halls stand scattered across the eastern lands. Where the Empire plants its banners, order can take root, and where the Nine are preached, souls may yet be saved from ruin. I will go forth with sword in hand and faith in my heart, seeking out every chance to serve. Whether it is driving back beasts or cutting down cultists, I will do so as the servant Talos has made me. The path ahead is uncertain, but my course is not. I walk it with purpose, and I know that purpose cannot be turned aside. The East awaits. May the Nine watch over me as I carry their light into the darkness. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. I have arrived in the sacred east of Morrowind, in the towering Indoril city of Akamora. The Dunmer call it holy, but their holiness is rooted in false gods and hollow tradition. Still, the people live, toil, and suffer here as anywhere else, and it is for their sake that I have come. The Imperial guilds endure within these walls, though I can see their struggle. They survive not through strength of purpose, but by treading carefully across the treacherous ground of Indoril politics. Their hands are tied, their voices hushed, and their future uncertain. Yet even a faint flame can be kindled into a fire if given breath. Perhaps Talos has sent me here to fan that flame. I will not shrink from the task. If Talos is willing, I will lift up the guilds, shield Imperial citizens, and aid even those Dunmer who will not admit they need help. Through service and righteous deeds, I will show the Nine to be true protectors. Unlike the tribunal that abandons its faithful in hardship, Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. This week has been drenched in failure. I swore an oath before the Nine to protect the noble retainers of Akamora's lord, yet their blood now stains the earth. They were struck down before I could even lift my sword in their defense. My prayers rise heavy with guilt, but I beg the Nine to forgive me. I did not falter from cowardice, but from being outmaneuvered by serpents that skulk in the dark. The only peace I could grant the fallen was to see their murderers undone. One by one they were brought low, until at last the hand that guided them was revealed and punished. Justice was done, but justice did not restore the lives that were lost. The land of Akamora feels ill, as if a hidden sickness festers beneath its noble banners. The houses gnash at each other's throats like rabid hounds, each feud spilling more blood than the last. It is as though some unseen hand delights in stoking their rivalries, watching them weaken themselves through endless strife. In this game of daggers, the Fighters Guild is used as their pawn, sent to dirty our hands in battles not our own. Should we fail, they will cast us aside, claiming honor while we bear the stain. I will not permit this. I will not see the guild turned into a tool of their corruption. The Mephalan Vales need an imperial presence, a true light to cut through the webs of deceit. Something evil stirs here, cloaked in shadows, whispering in the ears of lords and servants alike. Talos grant me strength, for I will root it out. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. I believe my blind obedience has allowed evil to thrive where it might have been ended by the edge of righteous steel. I followed the instructions of the Guildmaster in Akamora without question, and in doing so, I allowed wickedness to slip from my grasp. What I mistook for order was only a mask that cloaked corruption. The Nine forgive me. I was not deaf to Talos, but I chose the comfort of law over the harder path of divine justice. My heart burns with shame, for I know the truth now. To follow a command blindly is not always to walk in the light. Sometimes it is to stumble into shadow. So I lay my soul bare before the divines. Allow me to repent for my blindness. Cleanse me of this failure, and let me be reborn in holy service. Strip away my pride and my obedience to men, and set my path once more upon obedience only to you. Give me a task worthy of redemption, that I may prove myself your servant. It was then and there that Talos spoke once more to me, his voice filling my soul like a storm upon the mountain.
Tiberius, hear me. The path you have walked has been righteous, but you faltered when it mattered most. You allowed an entity of deceit and murder to walk free, though your heart knew the truth. This was an unholy mistake, a stain upon the duty I set before you. Yet I do not cast you aside. There is a way to begin your penance. Return to the shrine of your failure. Within its depths lies a blade wrought of pure ebon malice, a weapon steeped in shadow. Take it into your hands, but let it not claim your spirit. Bear it northward to the chapel of Akatosh in Firewatch, and there you shall see it destroyed upon his altar. Only then will you take the first step upon the road to redemption.
I come not in pride, but in penance. Talos Stormcrown has spoken to me. He has revealed the depth of my failure, and in his mercy has shown me the road to redemption. This foul weapon was born in a shrine of corruption, steeped in deceit and murder. Talos commanded me to retrieve it, to place it here before the altar of the dragon, that it might be destroyed by holy fire. And I beg you, Theurgist, do what must be done. Shatter this evil, and may the light of the Nine burn away the shadow it has cast. Talos has spoken again, his words like thunder in my soul, calling me to penance for the sin of letting evil endure. I obeyed without hesitation. The cursed blade of ebon malice now lies in ashes upon the altar of Akatosh in Firewatch. Its dark whisper is silenced, its shadow burned away by the light of the Nine. I stood before the flames until the chapel's incense filled my lungs and the ringing of the priest's final prayer faded into stillness. In that quiet, I felt the weight of guilt lift, not gone, but lightened. My path is not yet complete. Talos demands more than a single act of obedience. I will serve the Imperial Church with all the strength the divines have granted me, not only for my own redemption, but to bring the hope of salvation to those who truly repent. Let the faithless and the lost come forth. Let the weary and the wicked hear the call. Through service and sacrifice, we may all be made whole. The Nine guide my every step. I will not falter. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. My work in Firewatch has borne fruit in the eyes of the Nine. I have spread their holy word among the people and placed sacred relics back into hands worthy of their charge. A witch who harassed the city for decades, raising the bodies of fallen legionaries in a mockery of life, has been struck down by my blade. Her darkness will trouble this place no more. I walked beside the liturgist Tarom and helped strengthen his own faith. And in that fellowship I saw the quiet triumph of the divines. The spiritual heart of Firewatch beat strong once again, guided and guarded by the light of the Nine. Now my path turns toward the burdens of the common folk. Their troubles may seem small, but the Nine teaches that every soul matters. Every need is worthy of care. I will aid them as best I can, showing by deed and word that the Nine always send a guide to those who call upon them. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. Though the duties of the temple nourish my spirit, the Fighters Guild continues to temper my blade and my resolve. Each contract hones both skill and purpose. I freed a comrade from the clutches of a necromancer's tomb, the air thick with the stench of false resurrection. I have cut down thieves who prey upon honest Imperial citizens, their greed silenced by the justice of steel. These tasks may not bear the trappings of holy service, yet they serve the Nine all the same. To defend the faithful and protect the innocent is as sacred as any prayer spoken in a chapel. Every outlaw struck down, every citizen protected, is an offering of action to the divines. Talos strengthens my arm and steadies my heart. Through the Fighters Guild, I bring order where chaos festers and safeguard the lives of those under the Empire's banner. In each swing of my sword, I feel his guiding hand. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of Talos. Although Talos first called me to Firewatch through the weight of my own sin, I now see that his purpose ran deeper than my need for penance. Through his guidance, I have rekindled the faith of this Imperial city and stood guard over its people. Their hearts are stronger, their streets safer, and the Nine are honored once more within these walls. Yet one final task remains: the Dusters. They wear the armor of the Legion, but live as a mockery of all it stands for. They tarnish the Empire's honor, spitting upon the discipline and sacrifice that Talos himself demanded of the greatest soldiers in the world. Their reputation as rogues, thugs, and skooma peddlers offends not only the Lord of Shining Hosts, but every divine who watches over Tamriel. I will strip the rot from their ranks. I will remind them that the Legion is a sacred charge, not a shield for cowardice and vice. I was sent to Morrowind for more than wandering in prayer. Talos has placed me here to ready his empire and his legions for the darkness that gathers beyond our sight. I will not fail him. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. The corruption within the Legion runs deeper than I could have ever feared. I have seen the stain of skooma upon men sworn to uphold Imperial law. I have watched officers trade honor for coin and turn their backs on the ideals that Talos himself laid upon the legions. Their oaths have rotted, their discipline crumbled. I knelt and prayed for counsel, but the answer was already burning in my heart. To protect the Empire, I was forced to defy my superior and to speak falsehood more than once. I know it must be done. Better that my words be shadowed for a moment than that the Empire itself fall to ruin. Lives will be saved because of these choices. The Legion will be stronger when the rot is cut away. I see now that obedience to men is not always obedience to the Nine. Talos calls for courage, not blind servitude. I must set aside my own fear of failure and my pride in spotless truth. If I stumble, it will be only to steady the Empire and keep its people safe. I will endure the weight of this so that the Legion may be reformed in the light of the Nine. Helnim stands as one of the final Imperial towns before my trip south to the grand city of Narcissus begins. The sea air here carries both the scent of trade and the quiet worries of citizens who cling to the Empire's protection. I feel the Nine guiding me to give all I can in this place, to strengthen their hearts and keep their faith in the order Talos built. I have offered my sword and my counsel as both a legionary and humble servant of the Nine. Those who think themselves above the simple duty of helping others have truly lost their way. May my actions here leave Helnim more secure and more faithful than when I arrived, so that when I set my boots south, I do so knowing I have honored the Nine and the Empire. With my duties in Helnim concluded, I now turn my eyes westward, back to Old Ebonheart. The Nine have placed a greater task upon my shoulders than the slaying of outlaws or the cleansing of tombs. If I am ever to reform the Dustmoth Legion into the proud force that Talos intended, I must first earn the trust and respect of the other Legion commanders. The work ahead will not be swift, nor will it be simple. Discipline and faith must be restored step by step, but if Talos has seen fit to place this burden upon me, then I will not falter. The Legion must be reforged into a weapon worthy of the Empire, for without it, the Nine's order cannot endure in these hostile lands. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. Darnell has summoned me once more to Fire Watch, and I know in my heart this is the moment I have long awaited. The corruption festering within the Legion must finally be cut away, lest it poison the very soul of the Empire. I am to meet with the commander of the Dustmoth garrison and see this task through to its end. Talos has guided my hand this far. I will not waver now. The Legion will be cleansed of its shame, and the honor of his soldiers will be restored. May the strength of Talos steel my resolve for the trials ahead. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine, with my duty in the north fulfilled and the Dustmoth Legion restored to honorable command, I have once again set foot in Old Ebonheart. The city feels different now, as though Talos himself has stirred the winds to herald change. Upon my arrival, Lord General Victrix wasted no time in summoning me for new and urgent orders. Whatever task lies ahead, I know it will be one of great importance. Talos would not call me southward without purpose. The Nine have guided me faithfully thus far, and I will continue to walk the path laid before me with humility and resolve. May my sword and spirit both remain sharp for the trials to come. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. Fort Firemoth has been reclaimed in the name of the Empire and the Nine. The foul lich who defiled the honored dead of the Legion has been cast down. His dark reign ended beneath the light of holy judgment. I can still feel the sorrow of those fallen soldiers, whose rest was halted, but I know their spirits are now at peace. Lord General Victrix has seen my task through to completion and has ordered me to return once the last remnants of corruption have been purged from the fort. Until then, my path leads southward toward the grand city of Narcissus. Talos calls me to face greater evils, to prove myself worthy of his divine favor. I depart with the dawn. May the Nine watch over me as I walk once more into shadow. It is a strange feeling, this pull I sense from Talos. Since arriving in Narcissus, his voice has grown louder in my heart. He has brought me here for a reason, of that I am certain. There is a great evil festering in this city, something that must be purged. May Talos grant me strength, guide my blade, and steady my hand as I cleanse this land of corruption. Tiberius Imbrex, humble servant of the Nine. Lady Meridia, I know of you, the Glister Witch, Lady of Greed. You speak of cleansing the world of a vile necromancer, of striking down the one who would enslave souls and defile the light. By all accounts, it sounds righteous, but I am no fool. You are not of the Nine, nor do you serve their will. You wear the mask of light, yet you dwell beyond it. You offer a reward, but every gift from oblivion carries a chain. When I raise my blade, it will not be in your name, but in his. Keep your light, Daedra. I already walk in the true light of the Nine. Something is wrong within me. Talos has not spoken since shortly after my arrival in Narcissus. Each prayer I utter fades into silence. Each plea for guidance is met with still air and a hollow echo in my soul. I have searched every corner of this city for meaning, but find none. At night, I see only the same visions, a blinding light that burns without warmth, a voice that whispers of purity but tastes of deceit. Meridia. Her influence slithers into my dreams no matter how fiercely I pray. Has she found a way to cloud the divine voice of Talos himself? Can a Daedra truly silence the will of a god? I do not know. Yet I must endure. If this is another trial, I will weather it. Talos remained silent. His voice, once a fire that filled my spirit and guided every step I took, has faded into nothing. What was once purpose has become emptiness. Months have passed, and still I hear no word from the Lord of Men. My prayers fall lifeless before the altar. My faith feels tested beyond measure. I returned to Old Ebonheart, to the chapel of Talos, hoping for even the faintest sign. When I spoke of his voice, of the guidance he had given me, the priests recoiled. They looked upon me not as a faithful servant, but as a madman. Even Amanda and Platier, once my comrade in righteousness, turned from me. His eyes held pity, not understanding. Heresy, he called it. Madness, he feared it. Never have I felt so utterly alone. Not since Syncretor, when I first knelt and begged for a purpose. The silence feels the same now as it did then. Cold, hollow, endless. I know this is Meridia's doing. Her curse lingers upon me like rot upon holy steel. Perhaps she punishes me still for defying her will. If destroying her enemy will free me from this torment, then so be it. I will see her task through, not for her sake, but to end this silence. If my blade must strike down one more evil in her name to hear the voice of my God again, I will do it. Better to risk damnation in action than to rot in doubt. Talos, forgive me. The deed is done, Meridia. Pester me no longer. Restore my link to Talos. End this nightmare.
Tiberius, hear me. The path you have walked has been righteous. You have purged the darkness from this land and cast down the vile and the wicked. Your faith has not gone unseen. The fire within you still burns bright. You are safe at my side once more, my servant, my sword, my voice in the world of men. Together we will bring order to chaos and light to shadow. Together we will do great things.